Good CrafterNoon, everyone. Today we're going to paint a picture, and if you can't tell by the effects around us what kind of picture it is, it's a snowflake. Today we're going to learn to make this cute, simple snowflake with masking tape. Let's get started. So supplies needed for today's project are paintbrushes, paint, a canvas of your choosing, a palette if you have it, and masking tape. Masking tape is what we're going to use to make the snowflake. And I cut my strips to fit the canvas. Depending what size of canvas you use will determine how big or little your snowflake is. So what we're going to do is simply make an X in the middle of the canvas. And we want to make sure that tape is down nice and tight against the canvas. We don't want to have any the edges up, or the paint will bleed underneath, which may or may not be a bad thing, depending on the look you're going for. And then I actually cut the masking tape in half on this one because it was kind of fat, made for a really fat snowflake. Once again, after I get these pieces down, I'm flattening them out with a scraper. You could use a credit card. This is a scraper from the Cricut. Now, to get that snowflakey look, I've cut a bunch of smaller pieces of tape, and I'm going to add them, put them at an angle on the edge of each of the long strips of tape. Once again, pressing down, putting them at an angle so it looks snowflake-ish. And make sure it's down nice and secure. I'm pressing pretty hard here. I want nice crisp edges, because that's the effect I'm going for. And two more on this side. They don't all have to be the same size. I know snowflakes aren't, geometrically perfect, but we really don't live in a perfect world. Once you have this done, you can decide on the colors of blues and whites that you're going to use. I'm going to take a dark blue and a light blue, and I'm just going to put it right in the middle of this canvas, and some white. Okay, take a big flat brush and make sure you have a paper towel handy to wipe off any messes you might make. Get your brush a little bit damp, and what I'm going to do is just sort of swirl this paint together. I don't want it blended completely. I want to have some nice streaks going across my canvas to give it some texture and to make it sort of look windy. Make sure you fill in all the parts of the canvas using big glops of paint. Don't blend it completely, unless of course you want to, but if you want to give your picture some dimension, you want to have some raised spots, some unblended areas. You don't get it right the first time, you can keep going over it till you get the desired effect. And you'll go right over top of the tape and brush till you get to the other side. Keep thinking to yourself, snow is blowing all around outside and swirling. I always have to talk about my pictures while I'm painting them so I can keep things in perspective about what I'm trying to achieve with the paint. Once your canvas is covered and you're happy with how it looks, you need to let the paint dry completely. I will say, if you want to do swirls, you can make it swirly. If you want to make it fade from dark to light or light to dark, that's an option as well. It's your picture. It's your snowy world. You can paint it however you like. Okay, I think I'm fairly satisfied with the look of this. So I'm going to actually use a hair dryer to speed up my process a little bit, because I can't wait to see what this turns out looking like. Just a few more strokes. Once your paint is completely dry, you can take the tape off. You really want to make sure it's dry. You could have a big gloppy mess if you didn't. So I start with the highest piece of tape. The last piece of tape I laid down. I'm using a little weeding tool from the Cricut. If you have like a pin or a seam ripper, you could use that. And then just peel the paint off. And yes, it's a messy process because it's not completely dry. And keep peeling up the paint. You're peeling up the tape. Cheaters. And you're saying, Colleen, that does not look like a snowflake. To which I'm going to say, you are correct. I forgot to add pieces of tape to make the edges of the snowflake. It should really look like this before you paint. This is what happens when you screw up. Even master makers make mistakes. But it all turns out okay anyway. Your finished project will look something like this. Depending on the colors you've chosen, I went ahead and put glue on all the white space of the snowflake and added some glitter to make it extra special. Don't forget to sign your masterpiece. And there you have it, a really cool snowflake painting. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great CrafterNoon.